What's going on, everybody? It is I, the one and only Geark Skywalker, and I hope you guys are having a great day today. The next episode, the season finale of the Book of Boba Fett, is coming out this Wednesday. I will be giving my first thoughts to it around close to 4 in the morning. That's when I imagine the episode will be done, or close to being done. My first thoughts of the season finale. I'm not going to give any spoilers until I go into the full breakdown, which will be done in the way that I did the second and third episodes, with me standing up, and I'll be standing over in this area right here. But for right now, guys, I don't really feel like setting that up, and my legs doing pretty good overall. Just an update on that. My pulled quad is doing a lot better. Sorry that my hand is right there, guys. I'm trying to just figure out the most comfortable position to do this in without my hand being, directly on the camera. Okay, there we go. So, I know I'm not directly looking at the camera or at you guys, but this is the way I want to do this. So, let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett Episode 6. I'm going to tell you what. This episode, directed by Dave Filoni, whatever you want to say about Dave Filoni, the Clone Wars, and canon and all that, okay? This is exactly where Disney should have started when they began redoing things after they'd made Star Wars Rebels. The first thing they really made was some of the new comics and stuff like that, and they didn't retcon the expanded universe until 2014, and they had acquired Lucasfilm for almost a full 2 years at that point. Rebels comes out then in the fall of 2014. I remember I was a freshman in high school when it came out, and it goes until I was about a junior in high school. Close to being done with that, going into my senior year. Anyway, this is exactly where they should have started with the sequels. This is where we should have begun. And I also refuse to believe that the Luke Skywalker we got in the sequels is the same one that I saw in this episode. Because yes, Luke Skywalker returns. Once again. And let me just say, Disney, I'm glad you hired Shamook, the YouTuber, I believe that's his name, to do the CGI deepfake for Mark Hamill, because he looked 100% more like Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker did in Return of the Jedi than he did in the end of Mandalorian Season 2. It was still great to see him then. I'm not saying it wasn't good, but he actually looked like Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. Like, the face, the hair, everything. And he sounds like, obviously, a lot of the audio you hear is archival footage from the original trilogy, or even just Mark Hamill speaking. I'm not sure if they pulled anything from interviews and stuff like that. But either way, it was so beautiful to see him again. And honestly, guys, I broke down and cried. That's how powerful this episode was for me. Grogu was there, of course, and Mando, I believe that Luke is on Endor at this point, or I don't know what planet. People might say, obviously, if it's the sequel timeline, then obviously it's a Jan Kloss, because that's where, in canon, we know that Luke trained Leia there for a little bit. But again, he trained her there obviously 5 years before The Mandalorian Season 1 takes place, and it was, of course, was shortly after Return of the Jedi, and before, it was when Leia was pregnant, or, going to soon be pregnant with Ben Solo. Now again, as I've said before, guys, keeping in track with my headcanon, I do not consider the sequel trilogy, the sequel era, except for the majority of the Star Wars Battlefront 2 2017 campaign, minus the Battle of Jakku, and the Resistance DLC that was included on Battlefront 2 2017 from EA. I don't consider those canon. I don't consider the Aftermath series canon. I don't consider any of the expanded lore stuff of the sequel era canon. I don't consider the Star Wars Resistance show canon. That show was the equivalent of Star Wars Cocomelon. I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. I tried watching that show and I felt my brain cells hardly cling on to life. That's how horrible it was. Now listen, I'm also going to repeat it again. If you like the sequels, I am happy for you. I wish I could like the sequels. I cannot. They are disrespectful to me. They make me sad. Now again, facts don't care about your feelings, that they are officially canon as of Disney because Disney makes the rules, and of course they're under Lucas, or Lucasfilm is under them, and that is the canon. Now, I will never consider them canon, because of how disrespectful they are to me. And honestly, every time I think about them, guys, I just want to freaking pull my hair out of all my orifices. So yeah. Anyway, moving back on to what we were talking about. So Mando shows up to this planet. He's obviously tasked in the last episode by Fennec Shand to help Boba Fett, and she hands him a bag of credits, and he tells her it's on the house, and he says, "I need to go see a friend first." And again, I imagine he obviously figured out that it was Luke's contact, and obviously I figure that maybe he went and spoke with Luke. I don't really know how he knew exactly what planet to track him down to. I honestly don't know. I genuinely do not know if he went out and was like, yeah, hey, let me go talk to Luke real quick, or if anyone else was in contact with him. I genuinely do not know. I don't know, guys. They haven't explained that yet. So hopefully we get a canon explanation at some point. But anyway, yeah, moving forward here. So he gets there, and R2-D2 greets him, which is awesome. It's always nice to see a familiar face like R2. And he says, and Mando goes, "I'm looking for Skywalker," which is awesome that he knows who he is. Obviously, I'm sure some of them were able to pinpoint who he was, because obviously he is a legend of the galaxy at this point in time. 5 years after Return of the Jedi, he is a legend. He is a legendary hero, and he's by the galaxy standards. And so then Mando, there's ant droids. They're building a hut, and Mando just has to wait. R2 shuts off. Then we see Grogu training, meditating with Luke, and then Grogu sees a frog that, he likes to eat those things, as we saw in the first season of The Mandalorian. He tries to force pull one of them, and Luke sees that he's not concentrating, and Luke just gives him a funny look. And then he uses the Force and pulls up a bunch of different frogs and just goes, and basically shows him that you have potential, Grogu, and you can have what you want, but you got to hone your abilities. You got to put in the work first. Mando is taking a nap, and next thing you know, we wake up and we see Ahsoka. And this was big, because obviously I imagine at some point we are going to see Luke speak with Ahsoka about Anakin Skywalker and how he watched him be redeemed, and redeem himself, and come back to the light. And this is another scene that broke me, because it's holy crap, dude. Again, if you would have told me that I would have ever seen Luke meet Ahsoka when I was a young man, or a kid, or even 5 to 6 years ago after The Force Awakens came out, I'm like, you're crazy. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. They're never gonna meet. She's probably dead by now, because I just assumed that she was dead. Of course, we got that confirmation of she's not dead. At least in one timeline, she's not officially dead. In one timeline, obviously, due to Rebels, she is dead, because obviously Vader has to win, because he has to live to get to Return of the Jedi, or we don't get there. I don't know. You could go into all the different timeline theories of what could happen in regards to Ahsoka and the Vader fight, and the world between worlds stuff that Star Wars Rebels introduced. And maybe I hope to God it is a way that they could just retcon the sequels and make a new sequel trilogy, one that's actually good, and one that actually respects George Lucas's 1 through 6. At least on one timeline. That's all I ask. And if you want to keep the sequels canon to one timeline, or to the official timeline, I don't really care. As long as I have that sequel trilogy, do whatever the frick you want. At least I could sleep at night. Sorry if I sound like, I'm beating a dead horse, or I sound like a fake fan, or, a toxic fan, quote unquote. But that's just how I feel, guys. I'm not going to apologize for it. So anyway, moving forward, Ahsoka takes Mando to see Luke training or meditating with Grogu on the hill, and he says, "I have a gift for him." He's right there. Let me give it to him. And Ahsoka's like, "Grogu misses you a great deal, and you going to see him is only going to be detrimental to him." And Mando makes the hard choice of leaving and Ahsoka says, "I'll deliver the gift for you," and he leaves. And I'm sure that Grogu knew to a certain point that was Mando. And he has grown exponentially more powerful in the Force since he left with Luke at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. And Luke, of course, begins to train him, and he talks to him about Yoda and how size matters not. And it was just such a beautiful scene. And it's just so great to see this version of Luke. And again, like I said, when I saw this version of Luke, you cannot convince me in any way, shape, or form that this Luke Skywalker becomes the beta male, suicidal, grumpy hermit, Jake Skywalker, that we saw in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. You cannot convince me, and you will never convince me, that those two people are the same person. They are not. That Luke Skywalker in the sequels is an imposter, and he is not canon to me, and he never will be. You cannot ever convince me of that. I don't care how broken Luke got. Luke never gave up hope. If you look at the expanded universe, which is the exact blueprint that you could have gone off of, along with, of course, 4, 5, and 6, obviously. That no matter what Luke goes through, he never loses hope. He never gives up on people. He never gives up on the galaxy. He never gives up on his friends. He never gives up on the Darksiders. He always is hopeful, no matter what he is put through. His wife is murdered by his own nephew in the expanded universe. Mara Jade is betrayed and murdered by his own nephew. His niece, Jaina, wants to go out and murder him, and Luke does not hold any anger. And Jason is literally at the funeral for the woman he killed. And Luke lets him be there. Because Luke doesn't give up on people. That is who Luke Skywalker is to me. That is who Luke Skywalker has always been to me. He has always been a beacon of hope, and he is the person, because in a sense, I'm not saying he's Jesus, but Jesus also never gave up on anybody. Now, obviously, there is a certain extent where, as human beings, we do have to let go. But Luke never gives up, and it's evident in the original trilogy. It's evident in the old expanded universe, which was the blueprint for this new Star Wars universe that we're receiving from Disney. And they just threw it away. They literally just took it and threw it away. And made garbage. And that's an insult to garbage, let me tell you something. The sequels, that being garbage, that is an insult to garbage. So I'm sorry, garbage. That is an insult. They are below garbage. They are below garbage. And again, I don't want this to be a full-on rant about that. Anyway, so Mando, also we saw Cobb Vanth in the beginning. I also did mention that. And there's some Pike Syndicate people, they have spice. And he tells them, listen, I didn't see anything, so why don't you just scurry along, and we'll pretend like nothing happened, and don't ever come back here again with spice. And they try to pull guns on him. He kills 3 of them. The one survives. He opens the chest, and the Pike Syndicate guy goes, it's worth more than your entire town. And he goes, well, maybe I'll retire. So then he opens it to spice, and then he kicks it over, and then lets it blow out through the wind of Mos Pelgo and Tatooine. Mando goes back to Tatooine, meets Boba Fett in Jabba's palace, and the whole gang is assembled. And I assume that the season finale is going to be... If I don't see an all-out war, I don't know what I'm going to do, guys. I want to see an all-out war. And I mean, look, I think overall Boba Fett, I think now... Because, again, he was made soft, but because we do have confirmation in canon now that he was with the Tuskens for about all those 5 years in between Return of the Jedi and the first season of The Mandalorian. So we know he was with them for 5 years, and they did make him soft, but they also helped him to realize, I'm tired of working for myself and working for idiots. I want to have a family, I want to have an empire, and I want to have a team. And he realizes that a team is better than being solo. Because he obviously has matured, and he has grown, and the Tuskens have also shown him that. Because obviously, before he gets knocked into the Sarlacc pit, he was just fine doing what he was doing before, like his father before him. But obviously, that's changed, and the Sarlacc pit did mess him up. I don't know exactly what the psychological effects are. Obviously, the physical effects we obviously see in Mando Season 2, and even in Book of Boba Fett, and into, of course, even now, as he's now fully healed up from the wounds of the Sarlacc pit and its stomach acids. They need muscle. They need more muscle. And Mando's like, let me go talk to them. So then he actually heads out to Mos Pelgo, which is now known as Freetown, according to the Weequay bartender. And Mando's like, listen, we need the help. We really need your help. And he goes, I didn't think you were one I didn't think you were one to back down from bullies. He tells that to Cobb Vanth, because Cobb Vanth goes, we don't want any more violence. We don't want to do that. We don't want to fight anymore. And I just said, at least think about it. And he goes, you know what? It's been tough around here, but I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. Mando leaves, and of course his deputy and him are out there. And next thing you know, this giant reveal happens. And it was Cad Bane in live action. And I'm not even going to get into the fact of whether or not I think he looks blue. I think he looked great. I don't even care if he's a little bit less blue. I don't care. If they want to fix that for the next episode or they want to fix that for future, Cad Bane, live action appearances, you might want to take notes, Disney and Lucasfilm, just saying. But I think overall he looked really terrifying. Like, he wasn't, in the Clone Wars, he's not necessarily like, he might have been scary to some kids. He was never really scary to me. I always thought he was a cool bounty hunter. I always liked his character. I thought he was a unique bounty hunter. But I will say this. It is interesting to see him in live action. And of course he goes like, listen, if you just let things play out how they are, I won't have to do anything. And then he goes, you've been sticking your nose where you don't belong. Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer who worked for the Empire. And of course, I think Cad Bane's been working with the Pike Syndicate and Crimson Dawn and Kira and scoping out Tatooine as a place for the Pike Syndicate's, spice running and drug, cartel stuff. And, Cad Bane, obviously, he pulls his gun out before the deputy and Cobb Vanth can. And he shoots Cobb Vanth once, shoots at deputy 3 times. Because Cad Bane is a ruthless gunslinger. And Cad Bane also tells him before he shoots Cobb Vanth, you should have never given up your armor. So I assume he's been spying on everybody, and including Boba Fett. And maybe he is responsible for killing the Tusken tribe that Boba was a part of. But I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I do not know. But all I know is it was really cool to see him. Luke continues to train Grogu with the training remote that he uses in A New Hope. That Ben Kenobi uses in A New Hope, I should say, to train Luke with his lightsaber skills. And that you see the younglings use in the prequel, in Attack of the Clones. It was really cool to see that. I will say that was really, really cool. And then after that, Ahsoka's like, I'll see you again. And Luke goes, or will I see you again? And Ahsoka goes, perhaps may the Force be with you. And I assume at this point, Ahsoka's going back to find Sabine Wren. And they're going to go look for Ezra. And that will lead into her show, the Ahsoka series. Which I'm looking forward to as well. Hopefully, Hopefully it is really well done, and I hope that there's a good explanation for Ezra and Thrawn being alive as long as they are where they're at. I genuinely don't know how they are or where they are, but we'll just have to wait and find out. The Force will guide them, always. And then, of course, we end the episode with Luke giving Grogu a choice. He shows him the Mandalorian chainmail that Mando had the armorer make for Grogu before he spilled the beans about him removing his helmet in front of people, which was against his Mandalorian creed. And then he says, and this is a lightsaber, and he pulls out Yoda's lightsaber, and he goes, "This belonged to my teacher, Master Yoda." So obviously, there is something from the canon comics that are retconned, where Mas Amedda, Palpatine's Grand Vizier, throws Yoda's lightsaber into the pile of lightsabers into a furnace, and it gets blown up. That is no longer canon. That still happens to the other lightsabers, but being Yoda's lightsaber, that's no longer canon. Yoda must have either A, gone back for it, and we just never saw it, and obviously, for the original trilogy context, because of Yoda being a puppet, we would never have been able to see him train Luke with lightsaber combat, because, if he did, we're never going to see that unless it's in animation form. Or I guess now they could technically do something like that, but again, guys, it was a long time ago when they did that, and they didn't have the technology to do it at the time. So if they ever go back in the future and do it, that would be best. But either A, Yoda went back and got it, or Luke after Return of the Jedi, because remember, Luke in both canons, he goes after Jedi artifacts to help rebuild his knowledge of the Jedi Order and how to rebuild the Jedi Order and start his Jedi Academy to, pass on what he has learned. But he says you can only choose one. If you take this chainmail, you will return to Din Djarin the Mandalorian, and, you may never see me again. If you choose the lightsaber, I will train you and make you a great Jedi. But you will never see the Mandalorian again. Because for you, Grogu, a short time for you is a lifetime for someone else. Because obviously, he's part of Yoda's species. And there's a good chance that he might be even Yoda's son. And Yato's son. Because again, we've only seen 4 of Yoda's species. We saw there was a Jedi Master of the Old Republic from Legends. I mean, I consider the Old Republic canon, but I'm saying it technically is from Star Wars Legends. He was a Jedi Master during the Old Republic era, and he had a blue lightsaber. There's Master Yoda, obviously. There's Yaddle, who was in the Phantom Menace, and of course she's also in the Expanded Universe Legends comics, and in the canon comics too, but very few of them. She dies in the Expanded Universe. She actually saves Anakin from getting blown up by a bomb. This is like right before the events of Attack of the Clones. So then she dies. So yeah, we've only and then now Grogu. But in terms of canon, we've only seen 3, like official canon by, of course, Disney standards. My canon standards are different, obviously, as they always will be. I'm just always going to point that out to you guys. For now, we've only seen Yoda, Yaddle, and Grogu. So his species is obviously very rare, and Yoda always was trying to keep that a secret. And maybe that's to protect his people. I have no idea. I genuinely don't know. And I don't know if I really need a Yoda origin backstory. I maybe want to keep that a mystery. If we do find out about Yoda's species, I'm 100% fine with that at the same time. But Luke, again, Luke is giving him a choice, but I think Grogu's going to either choose both, or he's going to choose one or the other. And I feel like because of the little cub that's in Mando's N1 Starfighter that was carved out where a droid used to be able to be put, I feel like, if anything, Grogu's going to go back with Mando and be put in that little spot, because it's perfect for him. It's perfect size for him to ride around while Mando drives around doing his Mandalorian thing. And then the episode ends. So overall, guys, this was my favorite episode of the Book of Boba Fett so far. And like I said, this was one of the most beautiful Star Wars things, shows, episodes of anything I have ever seen for Star Wars in a long time. And like I said at the beginning of this review, this is exactly what Disney should have started with. But no, they had to cuck us over and make us feel like they were going to do something great with The Force Awakens. That all went to shit after The Last Jedi. And now Star Wars has been on life support for 5 years. Congratulations. It's starting to do a little bit better now, and I have more hope. My hope and faith in Star Wars is restored because of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and I hope it stays that way. And I hope the Kenobi show is great. I'm looking forward to reviewing more shows. Season finale is coming up soon, guys, and I'm looking forward to breaking that down for you. This is a 10 out of 10 episode, easy for me. This was my favorite episode so far. What do you guys think about it? Did you guys like it? Did you guys not? What do you guys think? Let me know in your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure you also hit the subscribe button, and if you like what you're seeing, of course. And make sure you also turn on notifications so you never, ever miss any more uploads from yours truly, the one and only Gyurk Skywalker. And hit the like button, because that would help me out greatly in the algorithms as well. And once again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. God bless. And remember, the Force will be with you. Always. Take care, guys.